My name is Mimi, and I am a student in the Culinary Management program at the College of the Florida Keys. Today I am going to perform an instruction video on how to properly sear scallops, and then also do a very simple pan sauce at the end. Okay, so having said that, before we get into the details of the recipe, I'd like to talk about the scallops you might see at the fish market. In fact, we will see them. So, wet scallops, as you can see, come in a milky fluid. What it is the seafood vendors inject them with phosphate solution to plump them up mad weight. This is an advantage to them and not to the consumer, obviously. So these are not what you're gonna choose for searing scallops. These are better used for a cioppino, seafood tomato stew, or seafood Newburg, or maybe a salad. But if you try and sear these scallops, they won't sear. They'll turn rubbery and shrink up in your pan. And I think when you have a fail like that, people tend to not want to do scallops. So just be aware of what type of scallop you're buying, and sometimes the fish merchant doesn't know what type of scallop you're asking for when you say, I don't want a wet scallop. So we'll put these over here, and then now we have our sea scallops, and they are big, they're plump, they have a nice opaque appearance to them, and they smell fresh. They should be dry before you sear them, so we pat them to get the extra moisture out. So you should know that you need to purchase your seafood from a reputable seafood vendor, and to ensure the quality and freshness of them. And if they look discolored or they smell bad or they're mushy, then you definitely don't want to use those. So these are our beautiful scallops we're going to use for this recipe, and I would like to pan in on the recipe that I'm going to use, and we'll go over the ingredients visually. And so here we have seared scallops with a lemon, garlic, and white wine pan sauce. Excuse me. Okay, so our equipment that we're going to use today, we have just wooden spoon, tongs to handle your scallops, spatula, knife, and measuring spoons. And then most importantly, we're going to use a stainless steel heavy bottomed skillet, which I think gives the best beautiful sear on a scallop, and it's what I always use, and I never have a failure. I have this splatter screen that I like to use also, just to keep the grease splatter down, but just be careful you don't put it and leave it on the pan, because it holds up too much moisture in, and you may not get that perfect sear on your scallop. So I just kind of move it around to keep it off the pan. All right, so let's see, having said that, we're gonna turn this pan up to medium-high heat. Now, you wanna make sure it's pretty hot, okay, before you put the oil in, okay? Now, I had it preheating a little bit so it would be ready. So here's our olive oil. We have 2 tablespoons, and we're gonna put that in there. Now, one tip that I'd like to talk about is you'll know when your oil is ready because you'll have a nice shimmer on it, and then when it starts to smoke a little bit, you don't have to wait for it to start actively smoking, but you can see it coming off the oil, and that tells you that your pan is hot enough and your oil is hot enough for the scallops. So let's go ahead and get these scallops ready, and what we're going to do is salt. We're going to salt each side while we're waiting for the pan to come up. This is kosher salt. I like to use kosher salt. It has a little bit different flavor than other salts. And we're going to put, I would say half on one side, and then when they go in the pan, we'll salt the other side. So I don't like to add pepper at this point, because I find that pepper burns in the pan and it leaves a dark residue, and I don't prefer that, so I put pepper in later. So we're going to put our oil in, if you want to come around. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's go over these ingredients first. Okay, so yes, we had 2 tablespoons of olive oil, a tablespoon of kosher salt, 2 tablespoons of butter, 1 shallot, or 2 tablespoons, minced garlic, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 1/3 cup of white wine, the juice of half a lemon, 2 tablespoons of parsley, and 2 tablespoons of dill. And then we have our presentation plate, which I have set some arugula on, and then we're going to put our scallops on top of this and drizzle the sauce over. You can serve the scallops any way you like on angel hair pasta or even risotto, rice, or even lentils, but my focus is on the scallops today, so that's what we're going to focus on. Okay, so I think I've covered everything in preparing. Now we're going to put our oil into the pan. Now you can see that pan is nice and hot, and that oil is starting to shimmer already, and that's what you want. And you can smell the olive oil getting nice and happy. Starting to shimmer. And I think I see a little smoke, so it's ready to go. So let's put our scallops in. Alright, now that these are searing, we're going to go ahead and salt the other side. The rest of our toasted salt. So I'd like to talk about a couple tips to make sure that you know when to flip them. And so that is, when you give the scallops a little nudge, they'll release from the bottom of the pan, and that's when you know that they're ready to flip. You can also see that they're going to start turning a nice toasty brown on the bottom, but you want to sear them each side for like 2 to 3 minutes, I recommend. So if you give it a nudge, they're not quite ready yet. We're going to let those go, and then we have all of our other ingredients lined up and ready to go. So it's best to not bother them. I have a hard time not touching and moving around and prodding, but you just have to let them go and get a nice sear. If you want to use a timer, that's a good idea, but I really don't think you need a timer. You can visually see what's going on. Alright, well these are releasing from the bottom of the pan, so let's flip them over. And look at that, beautiful. Nice, beautiful sear. And the oil really isn't too bad today, so I don't have to micromanage this screen. So again, maybe 2 to 3 minutes on each side. You don't want to overcook the scallop. It might turn rubbery. But these scallops are pretty good. They're real thick, and it's hard to overcook them if you stick with the guidelines of just get them nice and brown and then flip them, and then they should be just fine. Okay, these are cooking up pretty nice and fast. So when we're done, I'm going to set them on the plate of arugula over here, and then I'm going to cover them with this oil and keep them a little warm, and then we'll do our quick pan sauce. So let's see what we got here. Oh, that one's still stuck. This one's ready to go. See, not all of them are releasing from the bottom of the pan. That one's stuck fast. This one's ready. So I'm going to put 4 on each mound of arugula. And arugula is good, has a nice peppery flavor, and it stands up very well to heat. It keeps its shape. I'm going to take this one out of here. That one has a very nice crust on it too. I'm going to set this over here. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit for our sauce, so we don't want it too hot starting off. We'll put the oil over that. All right, now for our pan sauce, so we're going to add our butter. And this will give the sauce a nice flavor. So if you want to come around and pan in on the pan here, you'll see that all of those nice crusty little bits of scallop. This is serving to deglaze the pan on the bottom because we're using scallop and garlic. Otherwise, you could do it with wine and lemon. This is a pretty hot pan, so we'll try and work up all that flavor from the bottom of the pan, just like searing a piece of meat. All right, now, well, you can saute that until it's translucent. The pan's pretty hot, so it's pretty good to go right now. So now we're going to add in our garlic, okay, and let that get all nice and sauteed, but you don't want to go too long with the garlic because we don't want to burn it, and it is a hot pan. So maybe just under a minute for the garlic, and then we have our wine, and then we have our lemon juice. That'll come up off the bottom of the pan when we add the wine and the lemon juice. And we're going to add this. And we're going to add our lemon juice. And we're going to add half the parsley, because I want to save some for the presentation. And here's the dill. And now at this point, I'm going to add some pepper that I omitted from the first step. Some fresh cracked pepper. And I'm also going to sample the sauce, see if it needs anything. That's very good. Real simple little pan sauce. And basically that's it. It's done. Here's your beautiful seared sea scallops. And we're just going to drizzle this sauce over. Just go in here. Oops, that was a little salty. before you present that, you just want to clean up the plate. I splattered some a little bit. And oh yes. Well, we are going to add some of our chopped parsley over the top. Now we're going to add a little dill. And there you have seared sea scallops with a lemon, garlic, and wine butter sauce.